And now it's time for a video that both Borderlands parts nerds and bird enthusiasts alike will both enjoy. We're going to be taking a look at every Dahl Pistol part in this one, anything that can spawn on a non-unique or non-legendary. And believe it or not, many of these can spawn on legendaries or uniques. We're going to start off with the fire selector. Dahl weapons have the ability to switch between two firing modes, determined by the fire selector part. These modes are fully automatic, burst fire, and semi-automatic. The first thing to note is that fully automatic fire takes priority over the other two, and then burst fire takes priority over semi-auto fire. This is important because your scope will change depending on your firing mode. If you get a scope, the higher priority mode will have the lower zoom, so this is just something to keep in mind because we'll be coming back to this later. Next, if we compare the firing modes, you will see that burst fire has a higher fire rate than fully automatic fire. If you look at the gun cards for two similarly parted pistols, with one having fully auto fire as the primary fire mode, and one having burst fire as the primary fire mode, you'll see that burst fire is significantly higher. Next, we're going to take a look at the body of the gun. There's not really much in the way of a body here, but this part will be the same on all Dahl pistols. Now, this body has 5 different accessories it can spawn with, and from what I've seen, you will only be able to get a maximum of 2 at a time. And there doesn't appear to be any restrictions as to which can be paired, so you can get any one accessory with any other accessory. Let's take a look at them. The first accessory is a melee attachment that will increase your melee damage by 40% and your damage by 10%. Next, we have an accessory that will increase your fire rate by 10%. The next one will decrease both your recoil width and accuracy bloom by 25%. This one here will decrease your reload time by 10% and will increase your critical damage by 10%. The last accessory will decrease your weapon sway by 30% and provide a 10% accuracy bonus. I just want to note one thing here. Weapon sway being listed twice is likely just a visual bug. That is it for the body and its accessories, and now we'll take a look at the 4 barrels. Each barrel will provide the gun with its name, and each can spawn with its own set of accessories that are unique to that barrel. The barrels are the Falcon barrel, the Raptor barrel, the Shrike barrel, and the Alien barrel Wyvern. We're going to start off with the Falcon barrel. This barrel will have the slowest base fire rate, but the highest base damage of the non-alien barrels. When you roll burst fire on a Falcon, it will shoot in 3 round bursts. This is what the barrel looks like, and it can spawn with 3 accessories. The first here will increase your critical hit damage by 10%. The second one will increase your damage by 10%. And the third will also increase your damage by 10%. Next we have the Raptor barrel. This barrel will provide the fastest fire rate, but the lowest base damage in return. And this one will shoot in 5 round bursts with burst fire. Here's the barrel, which can also spawn with 3 accessories. The first will give you a 25% accuracy bloom decrease. The second will increase your fire rate by 10%. And the third one here will also increase your fire rate by 10%. Now this one is completely blocked in the viewport by the rest of the gun, so here's a better view of this part. The third barrel will be the Shrike barrel. This one will have both the second highest base damage and base fire rate of the non-alien barrels. Rolling burst fire on this one will give you a 4-shot burst. This is the barrel, and like the other 2 before it, this can spawn with 3 accessories. The first will give you a 15% accuracy bonus. The second one here will do the same thing. And the third here will decrease your recoil height by 25%. This one's on the other side of the gun, so here's a better view of it. Lastly, we have the Wyvern barrel, which is the alien barrel. This one shoots slower projectiles that will stick to whatever they hit, dealing 10% of their base damage. After a short amount of time, they will explode and deal the full damage. This barrel will cause your shots to each consume 2 ammo, and if you roll burst fire with this barrel, you will fire in 3-shot bursts. This barrel will increase your magazine size by 20% and will give you 60% additional melee damage. Now here's a better view of this one because it's partially cut off by the UI. Now as of the current state of the game, you cannot get any purple alien barrel pistols. And because of this, you cannot get an accessory to spawn on any alien barrel pistols because they will only spawn on purples. That'll do it for the barrels, and now we'll move on to the grips. The first grip will decrease your recoil height by 15% and decrease your accuracy bloom by 20%. The second will decrease your reload time by 5% and increase your damage by 5%. The last grip here will decrease your weapon sway by 30% and will increase your fire rate by 5%. The grips are done, and next we'll take a look at the magazine. Along with the magazine size, these will also determine the base reload speed of your gun. The first magazine is a 12-round magazine, and is going to provide a 10% damage increase. Here's a better view of this one from underneath, as it's mostly covered by the grip. This magazine will set your reload time to 2.2 seconds. The second mag will give you 18 rounds and will not impact your damage in any way. This one will set your reload time to 2.5 seconds. The third mag will be the largest at 24 rounds, but will give you a 10% damage decrease in return. This one will set your reload time to 2.7 seconds. Now we'll take a look at the stocks. There are only 2 of these. The first will do a number of things. It's going to increase both your accuracy bloom by 20% and your magazine size by 10%. In return, you get a 5% damage penalty and a 10% accuracy penalty. The second stock is going to decrease your weapon sway by 30% and increase your accuracy by 20%. There is also a chance that you get no stock on your weapon. Next, we're going to take a look at the scopes. Scopes on Dahl weapons are different than scopes on other weapons in the game. Because of the alternate firing modes, each mode has a different zoom level as long as you have a scope. Your primary fire mode will always have the lesser zoom, and the secondary mode will have the greater zoom. The first scope is going to provide you with 1.5 times zoom and 3 times zoom. The second will give you 2.2 times zoom and 4 times zoom. The last scope will give you 1.5 times zoom, which causes you to turn your weapon at an angle, and then 5 times zoom. Without a scope, you will just have the iron sights for both firing modes. Now we have the elemental part. Dahl pistols can come in all 5 elements in the game, these being fire, shock, corrosive, cryo, and radiation. Most of the time, however, you will probably see no element. Here's a table showing all of the information for these parts. There's a spreadsheet linked below with all of this in it and the information for other guns. That's going to do it for Dahl Pistols, guys. See ya.